Chapter 61, Progress. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Kaguya sighed. Kaguya was up in a tree, and she's been standing there without moving for a week. She was looking at the Colosseum with a complex look. Sigh. Kaguya sighed. Kaguya was in big trouble. She got fired. And the second she was fired, she got another job. She became Victor's personal maid, but that wasn't what she was freaking out about. What about my salary? And my retirement plan? My extra benefits? And most importantly, what about my vacation? She started to ruffle her hair. Gah! She was freaking out. She sighed again and looked at the Colosseum with a complex face. I mean, I'm glad I'm free of Clan Snow, but Lord Victor can't support me. I am a very expensive maid. The perfect maid, that she knows that she is not totally free from the chains of Clan Snow, but now that Victor owns her, she will have more freedom. It all depends on what kind of contract Victor wants to make with her, and Kaguya trusts Victor. She knows he won't make a contract with too many restrictions like Clan Snow. Sigh. She sighed again. She doesn't know how many times she sighed this week, but the money problem still remains. She is a very expensive maid. However, she has some savings that she's saved over the centuries, so it's not like she's going to be poor all of a sudden, but work is work, personal life aside, she needs money. Everyone needs money. Even vampires need money. She puts her hand to her face like she's thinking about something profound. But Lord Victor's personal maid, huh? She showed a small smile on her face. Heh. That doesn't sound bad, that doesn't sound bad at all. Ruby and Sasha sighed. After being separated from Violet, the two women returned to Skathaka's mansion and immediately began training. Ruby, who had the strongest foundations, was teaching Sasha the basics, and she noticed something. Your basics are a complete mess. What were you doing for a living? Ruby spoke as she looked at Sasha on the floor. She realized this a week ago, and she didn't say anything because she thought Sasha would get better as she taught, but no. She hasn't gotten better yet. She is like a chicken. She tries to teach her something, but when Sasha takes 3 steps, she forgets about everything. A vein popped in Sasha's head, and then she rose from the floor. You're too bad at explaining. What in the 7 hells is, boo? Baha. Pew, pew. Ruby's face turned red. I'm not a damn translator. Explain correctly, good damn it. I didn't explain it like that. Ruby countered. Huh. So I'm deaf. Maybe. Ruby didn't want to give up. Bitch. What did you say? Ruby was irritated. The two ran into each other and were about to fight again. Okay. Stop. Lakis appeared in front of Sasha and Ruby. Lakis. Big sister. For God's sake, can't you guys go 10 minutes without arguing? She is the one who can't explain. No, you are the one who doesn't understand. The two look at each other for a few seconds. Humph. Humph. Sigh. Lakis sighed. She had been watching the two of them train for a while. After all, she had nothing to do and, after watching them for a whole week, she understood something. The two women were two different types of geniuses. Ruby was a genius at learning things faster and, because of that, she was able to finish Skathak training more quickly. But she had a problem. She couldn't explain what she learned, and Sasha was a genius at learning things by instinct, and she knew how to explain things she learned verbally, but she was terrible at trying to learn from someone else. She's the kind of genius who learns everything her way. When the friends were younger, it didn't cause much trouble, since they were just learning to control their powers, but after each one grew up and each one acquired a peculiarity, it became impossible to train together without an intermediary. The two were complete opposites, so they needed someone to bridge the gap between the two. Chomp. Chomp. The 3 women heard a noise of someone eating, so they looked in the direction of the noise and saw Pepper eating something that looked like popcorn but had a deep red color like blood. Beside her was a completely red drink like strawberry juice. she was wearing pretty big black glasses with a 3D symbol on the rim of the glasses. She looked like a woman who went to the cinema to enjoy a movie. The three women just looked at Pepper in disbelief. Phewie. Why are you looking at me? She looked like a cat that was caught eating something it shouldn't. The three sighed again. Let's take a break, Sasha said. Yes, Ruby agreed, some hours later. Okay, let's start again. Sasha got up and looked at Ruby. This time, don't say anything, just fight using basic moves. What about the count transformation? When are you going to teach me? Ruby asked. After you teach me something useful. Sasha's eyes narrowed. Ruby frowned a little. Okay. Lakis will be responsible for stopping us if we're doing something wrong, Sasha continued. But I don't want to do anything. Lakis, who was lying on the ground, looking like a caterpillar, spoke. Big sister, please. Ruby looked at Lakis like she was a kitten who wanted something. Lakis looks at Ruby. I refuse. Please. Ugh, oh okay. Fine. I'll do it. Lakis rose from the grass, and at the same time, she wondered why she was so weak to Ruby's eyes. But if we are going to do this, we must do it correctly. She became serious. Yay, Ruby laughed. Sasha glared at Ruby. What? Ruby returned to her cold expression. You should show your smile more, darling would like it. Ruby's cheeks turned a little red. Shut up. Says the woman who can't be honest with her feelings, Pepper suddenly said. Sasha's cheeks turned a little red, and she looked at Pepper. Shut up. And stop making noise with that food. You'll get fat if you eat a lot. Vampires can't get fat. This might look like popcorn, but it's basically crystallized blood. She started laughing like she was a child who did something evil, mwahahaha. And as if it were a law of nature, her two mountains began to shake heavily, which caused damage to Lakis. Veins appeared in Lakis' head, and she screamed. You don't get fat because everything you eat goes to your breasts. Pepper looked at her older sister with an innocent face. Sister, are you stupid? Vampires can't get fat. Lakis didn't know how to react to her sister's innocent face. Realizing something, Pepper flashes a sly smile. I pity you, big sister. Huh. You'll never be able to grow up, and you'll always get stuck in that lowly body. Lakis lowers her head a little, and that causes her red hair to cover her face. Soon, she disappears from everyone's view. Pepper, you just did that. Ruby looked at her sister with pity. Phewie. Pepper didn't understand, she just tried to tease her sister a little. As soon as Lakis appeared again with a rope in her hand, she lifted her face and looked at Pepper. Pepper seeing Lakis' face that had several pulsing veins and glowing red eyes. Awawawawa, I'm sorry, big sister. She started running. Excuses are useless. Lakis vanishes into mist and appears in front of her sister. All that remains is punishment. No. I don't have a BDSM fetish. Accept your fate. Lakis snaps the rope. Oh, Pepper's scream can be heard throughout the forest. Ugnia along with an awkward moan. Violet sighed. After separating from Ruby and Sasha, Violet returned to her house, and the first thing she did when she got home was start her training. As she didn't have complete control of her powers, she spent this entire week learning how to control her powers again. This was an arduous task. After all, despite saying that she wanted to train, her mind was thinking about Victor. She couldn't stop feeling that it was a bad idea to leave Victor and Scathach alone, and that made her very angry. But despite having these thoughts, she made a lot of progress in controlling her powers. I was surprised when you said you wanted to complete your training, my daughter, but I'm impressed, Agnes said as she looked at a huge crater. That kind of power at just 21 years old. Amazing. That's still not enough. I feel like I can't control my power like I used to, Violet said. Okay, Agnes smiled, and soon, Violet's training continued under her mother's supervision. Unlike Sasha and Ruby, who are training in martial arts, Violet focused more on her power. She doesn't know martial arts and has no interest in it either. Which is a mindset that Scathach very much disapproves of. Vampires who focus only on power are like glass cannons, they have a lot of power but little stamina. And if these vampires face their natural enemy of wolves, they will lose without any resistance. After all, wolves have better physical attributes and resistance to the elements than vampires. Scathach doesn't much like the Snow Clan mentality. They think they're superior because they have one of the powers that are the vampire's deadly weakness, fire. Yes, indeed. This clan is deadly to vampires, but what about wolves? And the witches? And the hunters? The strongest wolves can get their body covered in fire, and they won't feel anything. The strongest witches just cast a magic shield, and the strongest hunters will use the high-level defensive enchantments, and voila. Their clan trump card is lost. Lady Agnes. Lord Adonis needs to talk to you. Hilda stops talking when she feels Agnes rushing past her. Darling. I'm coming. Hilda holds back her will to sigh and says, it looks like I'll have to take over your training for a while. I'm counting on you, Hilda, Violet said. Edited by, is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/VictorWeissman. More characters images in, /4FETZAF, like it? Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 62, I Knew It. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. 2 weeks later, 2 weeks passed, and Ruby and Sasha finally started showing the results of their training. As they are vampires, they just need to rest for a few minutes, and soon they managed to get back to training again, taking full advantage of their vampire abilities. Sasha's advance was all thanks to Lakis, who served as an intermediary. Sasha learned the basics of martial arts that Ruby learned from Scathach, and she can finally see results as she uses her powers. As expected, Scathach was correct. Well, my mom isn't the strongest female vampire for nothing, Lakis said. Ruby smiled and agreed with Lakis' words. Let's continue. I think in 2 months, you can learn the basics, Ruby said. I still want to learn about the vampire count transformation. Ruby didn't need to train very much on the basics, she just needed to find new ways to use her powers. She's not like her mother, who likes to use weapons. She prefers to use her powers and the martial arts her mother taught. Once I learn the basics, it's up to me to improve, huh? Yes. My mom always said that we should build our paths by ourselves. She just taught me the basics of her martial arts, she never taught me everything. Lakis continued in Ruby's shoes. I don't understand. Why didn't she teach everything? We weren't qualified. Pepper spoke neutrally. What do you mean by qualification? Sasha asked. Pepper looked at Ruby. Ruby better explain, after all, she is the heir to our clan. Sasha looked at Ruby and waited for her to explain. My mother had many disciples in her life. But not all of these disciples were qualified to learn everything from her. Ruby looked at Lakis. She once told me that only a disciple she thought worthy would inherit everything she learned. Yes. She said the same thing to me. Lakis nodded. How should I say, she's strict, huh? She didn't even teach her own daughters everything. That's not entirely correct, Ruby explained. Huh? My mother's martial art consists of 4 main bases. Strength, speed, resistance, and power. Since I'm the daughter who was born with the most power, she taught me resistance, Ruby said. Ruby positioned herself a little away from Lakis. Try to attack me with your power. Okay. Sasha didn't understand but did as Ruby asked. She appears in front of Ruby with her body is covered in lightning and attacks Ruby's face. The moment Sasha's attack touched Ruby, Ruby's entire body turned to ice. Ouch, Sasha held her hand a little, she felt like she was hitting solid metal. Using my power as fuel, I can coat my body with ice and create something like an impenetrable shield, Ruby spoke as the ice slowly began to disappear. Is it something like how I use my power? It's similar, but not the same. You cover your body with lightning, but I turn my whole body into pure ice. Huh? How is it different? Your power is covering your body like a cloak. It is not inside your body. For example, you can't use lightning to improve your brain activity, right? I can, but it would fry my brain. Sasha's face darkened in horror. Ruby just flashed a cold smile. That's insane. You're basically destroying yourself over and over again using this technique. Although vampires have regeneration, it still hurts when their body is injured. Having your body destroyed and rebuilt is not a pleasant experience. And, if you don't have control, some important places like the heart and brain can be destroyed simultaneously, and the vampire can die forever. Ruby is different, she can do this more easily because she was born with the power to control water, Lakis explained. Ruby uses her water control so that the moment she stops using this technique, the ice will slowly melt back into flesh, and, thanks to the vampire's natural regeneration, she'll quickly return to normal. She will feel pain, but it's not the kind of pain that will completely destroy her body. And this feat can only be achieved because Ruby has extremely precise control of her own power. Lakis finished the explanation. Insanity. I can only use lightning in my body because I have the abnormal resistance of my father, but my mother doesn't have that, and when she uses lightning too many times, her body is destroyed. Just imagining the pain she would feel, Sasha's body shudders. The other techniques are strength and speed, and those are Pepper and Lakis, respectively, Ruby said. Pepper learned strength, it may not seem like it, but she's super strong, look. Ruby looked at Pepper. Pepper nods and steps away from the group, looks at an empty area and then positions herself in a karate position, then she yells, "Ey.Bom." Pepper's punch created pressure in the air that destroyed the entire forest within a radius of 1 kilometer. Bloody hell. Despite the cute scream, Pepper's destruction was no joke. Sasha looked at the destruction and thought, I can do something like that if I use the lightning technique, but it's very different from you just casually doing it with a punch. You got weaker, huh? That's because you don't train. Ruby hit her sister on the head. Fway. But there's no one to fight. I also prefer watching anime. Is this weak? Yes. In the past, she could destroy 3 kilometers of this forest with one punch. Seeing Sasha's expression of disbelief, Ruby said, just adding, my mom can destroy up to 100 kilometers in a straight line. And unlike Pepper, nothing would be left, the air pressure would destroy everything. You are monsters. How rude. I'm not a monster, it's you guys who are weak. Pepper pouted. Lakis was born with the fog ability. Because of that, she learned speed, as you saw, she is very fast. Ruby changed the subject. Oh. I wonder who's faster. Sasha looked at Lakis with a competitive look. We have to test this another day. Lakis smiled. Sienna, my older sister, learned the power, but since she's not here, let's ignore it, Ruby said. Sasha stops looking at Lakis and starts to think, and soon she understands something. I see, her martial art was shared among her daughters. Wrong, Ruby spoke. Huh. Although she is a master of all martial arts, the main martial art she uses is sojitsu, spearmanship, the martial art that uses the spear. Scathach only learned melee martial arts because she was bored. Sasha doesn't know how to react to all this. Just because she was bored, Scathach created such a deadly martial art. Boredom with a person who likes to train can be something scary. Unlike other vampires who waste time doing useless things, my mother used 2,000 years to improve herself. And even so, she's not the strongest vampire there is, Ruby commented. The king, huh? Sasha spoke. Yes, I don't know what he looks like, I've never seen him in person, but if my mom says she doesn't have a 100% chance of winning against him, that must mean something. A moment of silence fell. I wonder what martial art my husband is learning right now, Sasha said. The 3 sisters were silent since they were also curious about this subject. Let's get back to training, Ruby said. Yeah, Sasha agreed. Suddenly the two looked in the direction of the Colosseum. That is, Sasha clenched her fist in frustration. Bloodlust. He's losing control. He must be going through a difficult time right now, unlike us who have had to deal with it since childhood. This is the first time he's been dealing with it. And his bloodlust is much stronger than me, you, and Violet combined. Sasha continued. Darling. Husband. Both were worried. In those 2 weeks, Victor surpassed Skathaka's expectations, and he managed to hold his bloodlust. And, despite the pain and suffering it was causing him, he overcame everything with a smile on his face. He seemed to be having fun instead of training. He learned to handle the greatsword more naturally, and his battle instincts were sharpened by fighting Skathak for 2 weeks straight. He started using his powers more naturally. The powers were a part of him even now, and it wasn't something he just used as if it were borrowed. Soon Skathak was considering making Victor switch weapons. After all, she won't be satisfied until her disciple has mastered all the weapons. Everything was good while it lasted, but soon, Victor's bloodlust became unbearable for him to bear. Well, I didn't expect this to happen so quickly. Skathak spoke as he looked at Victor, who was kneeling on the floor while holding his throat. He seemed to be in a lot of pain. Thirst. My throat hurts. He screamed with a roar of pain as he fell to the ground. The sound of chains could be heard by Skathak. I underestimated your bloodlust. Skathak spoke. My back. He screamed. Crack. 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 Sounds of bones breaking can be heard. Normally, when an average vampire loses control because of his bloodlust, he will go into the berserker state until he is satisfied. Ha! Suddenly, a bone wing came out of Victor's back. If the bloodlust isn't satisfied, or the vampire controls himself during the period of a month, the protection spell will activate, and the vampire will go into a coma. She repeated her words. Victor's skin began to darken. Victor's pale skin changed to dark purple skin. Victor's ears sharpened. Usually, that was supposed to happen. Indeed, that's supposed to happen. Ugh, ugh. Victor fell to the ground, and suddenly he stopped moving. It was like he was dead. Blood began to appear around Victor, and slowly, this blood began to go towards him as if it was being drawn into Victor's body, and soon the blood started to float. But, I forgot to consider something. Skathak spins her spear and braces herself. You're no ordinary vampire. Victor's eyes open. Unlike before when only the iris of the eye turned blood red, Victor's eyeball turned completely blood red. A demonic scream that shook the entire structure of the Colosseum was heard. Seeing Victor's form, Skathaka's cheek turned a little red, and she cried out in ecstasy, "Ah, I knew it. I knew I was correct. Ha 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 ha. Now. Come. Let's have fun." Edited by is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/victorweissman. More characters images in, /4fetzaf, like it? Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 63, Coward. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Violet sighed. Darling. Violet muttered worriedly as she looked towards the Colosseum. Even though the structure couldn't be seen in the distance, Violet instinctively knew where Victor was. Don't distract yourself in a fight. A cold voice spoke from beside Violet. Violet turned quickly and tried to defend against the oncoming attack, but she wasn't quick enough. Hilda kicked Violet in the face, and her kick was so hard it threw Violet across the hill. Violet was buried under a pile of rocks. Never let your guard down, always be prepared to use your powers at any time. Remember, you are the heiress of Clan Snow. Everyone envies you, and everyone loves you, but at the same time, you have a lot of enemies. Hilda straightened her white glove and continued watching the place where Violet was buried. Pure fire covered Violet's body, and soon she came out of the rocks. She looks at Hilda. Now I understand who was inflating my mother's narcissism. It's not a lie if it's true. Violet rolled her eyes. You don't understand how special your clan is. Hilda appears beside Violet and whispers. Ha! Slap. Hilda slapped Violet on the cheek and sent her flying again. You've let your guard down again. She spoke coldly as she watched Violet, who was buried in the same area. Bitch! Stop hitting my face. Violet yelled angrily. Your darling would be disappointed to see how weak you are right now, Hilda said coldly. Ha! Violet's face darkened, her eyes lifeless. Then, slowly, her body began to release a dark red pressure. This was killing intent. She was irritated, and Hilda saw it. That's it, use the anger, our power comes from that anger, but dash. Hilda walked towards Violet with elegant steps, and slowly, Hilda's image was blurred. It was as if she was drifting in and out of existence. Violet's fist started to catch fire, and as soon as she punched the air, a massive amount of flames flew towards Hilda. Anger out of control is just a waste of power. Hilda's image slowly faded. TSK, Violet realized that the attack didn't touch Hilda. She started using her senses in an attempt to find Hilda. Your way of using power is very raw. Violet heard a cold voice behind her. Violet turns around, and soon she sees Hilda's hand inches away from her face. Hilda's 2 fingers began to be covered in fire. Looks like we have to work on all your control again. She finger-flicked Violet's forehead. Boom. With one simple move, she managed to create an explosion that sent Violet flying away. As she looked at her clan heiress, Hilda thought, TSK, Agnes did a sloppy job again. I should have taken over Violet's training when she got home. Hilda has noticed Violet's improvement this week, but that's not enough for her since she is a strict woman. So she will not be satisfied with this little improvement. Hilda visibly sighed. She looks at her shadow and, seeing the shadow of a man within her shadow, she said. Oda. Yes, Lady Hilda. The shadow's mouth moved, and she heard a voice in her head. Go get Lady Violet, and when you finish this work, I want you to get in touch with Kaguya. I want her to come home. The man was silent, and he seemed to be thinking about something. Kaguya was fired from her task by the Snow clan heiress. I know, but she's still part of Clan Snow. She has to go through all the legal processes to get fired from her maid job. She also needs to find her new co-worker. Yuki, huh? Are 2 maids not overkill? He can't help but ask. You're asking a lot of questions today, huh? Hilda spoke. I'm just trying to understand, is this man so important to receive a servant from Clan Snow and Clan Blank? I don't know. But that was Lady Agnes's order and Lord Adonis. Initially, she would just be a servant of Clan Snow, but now that Violet has fired her maid and transferred the right of the master to her husband, things just ended up like that. Hilda frowned a little. For some reason, Lord Adonis is very supportive of Violet's new husband. He seemed very happy that he found a son-in-law. Lady Agnes doesn't seem to like Lady Violet's new husband very much, but in the end, it doesn't matter if Lady Agnes doesn't like it. After all, when Lord Adonis wants something, Lady Agnes will do anything to please him. She thought. Oda didn't know what to say, he just kept thinking about what he heard. Finished with the questions? Now go do your job. Yes, human world. Outside Queens, on top of a building, a white-haired man was sitting on the balcony while drinking a bottle of tequila. As he stared up at the starry sky, he was thinking about Jessica. I fucked up. He knew he'd screwed up, he was aware of it, but he couldn't apologize. Whatever. I'll think about this problem in the future. He took a sip of tequila. This is not what I expected from our meeting, my son. Johnny's whole body shivered when he heard the sudden voice behind him. He was startled. Johnny turned and looked at the visitor who was standing on top of a water tank. You keep doing this, huh? Can't you show up in the normal way, old man? Normal? Adam put on a confused face. I'm just an ordinary professor working at an ordinary university. I'm the most normal person you'll ever meet, my son. Yeah, whatever. Johnny turned and took another sip of tequila. Adam jumped slightly and landed next to Johnny. He sniffs the air and soon displays a face of disgust. Wolf, human, vampire, and witches. Looks like you're still the same. You can't control where you put your dick, huh? Yes, you know how things are. I'm just like you. I've never slept with a human or a witch, and especially with leeches. Hey, you're wrong on the last one, I haven't slept with her yet. Johnny rolled his eyes. Yet, huh? Adam's eyes sparkled for a few seconds. He clearly didn't like that answer, but as soon as he felt disappointment, he decided not to poke his nose in this matter, and he just started stroking his mustache. A habit he always does when he's thinking about something, and Johnny knew about that habit. He waited for his dad to finish thinking and took another sip of tequila. Damn it, this is good. Well, whatever. As long as you don't have a child with these women, I won't mind too much. And you wouldn't listen to me anyway. Hey, glad you know that. Johnny chuckled. And to think you're my heir. If the king discovers that. Then, just imagining his alpha's disappointed face, Adam's feeling of disappointment grows. Well, I still have Edward, even though his mother doesn't have the best genes, he's still my son. Ugh, my son who has the most potential is a drunk who can't control which hole he wants to put his dick in. And my youngest son is a good kid who listens to me, but he's weak. What have I done to deserve this? Adam also had his problems. Fuck, Johnny was going to talk bad about the king, but he stopped when he felt a huge pressure seeping from Adam's body. Don't you dare continue, he spoke with a growl as his teeth shifted, and his face took on a more animalistic shape. Even if you are my son, I will not tolerate offense to the king. Johnny swallowed hard and turned away. Adam continued watching his son for a few seconds, but soon he relaxed his expression. Let's talk. Adam approaches the balcony. I heard that my sister is in love with a leech. Johnny ignored what his father said and spoke, crack. He broke the concrete with his grip. He didn't expect to hear that. Calm down. My daughter has no interest in a leech, she wouldn't dare lie to me. Where did you get this information? The Lost Club. Madam contacts, huh? Adam's eyes glittered menacingly, and he thinks, if that's true, then it's that woman who investigated Victor. Maybe this information could be true. Oh. I never thought someone of your status would visit that place. Ha. Fool, don't you know what kind of place that is? Have your senses gone numb? Johnny was confused by his father's reaction. Stupid son, that place is a haven for lone wolves. Madam is a witch, but at the same time, she is considered an alpha by the wolves. Adam purposely didn't mention that Madam also houses witches who are tired of living in the witch nation. That old woman is that important, huh? Adam didn't say anything, but soon he changed the subject. Ignoring my daughter's love issues. Adam sighed. What did you want? You're being hunted, Johnny spoke simply, then took another sip of tequila. Ha! Do you think I don't know? Boy, who do you think you're talking to? Oh. Tell me. The Horseman clan, right? Those fucking twins think they can threaten my family, and I won't know. Adam spoke in contempt, then he continues, if you came to talk to me, then you must have gotten this information from that disgusting leech. Crack. Johnny broke the tequila bottle with his grip. Don't talk about her like that. He growled. What a waste. Adam totally ignored his son's threat. Adam looks at his son, and his eyes sparkled intensely. Before you threaten your father, you must first be prepared to follow through with your threat. Johnny turned his face away. He wasn't going to fight his father since he knew he was going to lose. It was a futile fight. Adam shakes his head in disappointment, then he turns around, coward. If it were someone else I know, he would have jumped on me and fought, regardless of whether he was going to lose or not. In a way, he's more wolf than you. He seems to be crazy, this person you talked about. Johnny wasn't offended. It's been a long time since he stopped caring what his father told him. Indeed, he's crazy, but at the same time, he's not a coward. He would fight me just because I offended his wife. Even though he knew he would lose, he would fight anyway, and he would probably evolve in battle and have fun fighting. That's the kind of man he is. Adam turns his face and looks at Johnny, and then he flashes a small smile on his face. Like I said, he's more wolf than you, despite being a leech. Soon Adam disappears. Johnny looks at the full moon. His eyes were shining brightly. He wouldn't deny it. Hearing his father talking like that about someone else affected him a little. I wonder who this man is. Edited by, is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/VictorWeissman. More characters images in, /4FETZAF, like it? Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 64, do you want it? You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Lucy Base. Are you happy now, Karen? Lucy spoke with a calm face. Yeah. Though Karen's face was smiling, veins throbbing in her head could be seen. Nice job hiring a mercenary to do an important task. Wow, good job. You really are a genius. Einstein would be embarrassed to know that there is anyone with such a large amount of IQ. She started to clap her hands. You don't need to talk like that. Johnny is trustworthy. A vein popped in Karen's head. She hits the table with a crash and screams. In which world is a mercenary trustworthy? Lucy puts his hand to his ear. Her voice was so loud that his senses were overwhelmed for a few seconds. Take easy, Karen. Johnny is trustworthy, I can promise you that. I've worked with him a few times, and he won't say anything. Karen was almost bursting with rage again. Sigh. She sighs and looks at Lucy with cold eyes. You know what? I'm done. Karen left the office. W8. What will you do? Lucy got up from his chair and ran after Karen. I will speed up the ritual. We have all the necessary ingredients, and the only thing left that we need is the blood of a noble vampire. She takes a vial of blood and shows it to Lucy. And I already have that ingredient. But what about me? Fuck you, Karen held up her middle finger at Lucy. You never listen to me. Just get another vial of noble vampire blood. Karen's instincts were tingling like crazy. She had a feeling that if she didn't rush the ritual, she would never be able to complete what she wanted so badly. Lucy didn't expect this answer. He puts a hand on his chin. I pissed her off that much. Boss. A vampire ran beside Lucy. What? Lucy looked at his subordinate. They are here. The noble vampires. Lucy's face went paler than should be possible for a vampire. Looking at a coffin that was covered in blood, Karen picks up the vial and pours the contents of the vial into the coffin. When the contents inside the vial fell into the bloody coffin, the magic circle under the coffin began to glow crimson red. Seeing this, Karen said, Success. Soon she starts to undress, and after taking off her clothes and becoming the way she came into the world, she enters the coffin. With this, I will be reborn. She lies down in the blood and closes the coffin. The moment she closed the coffin, the magic circle grew and covered the entire room, and soon the crimson light that was emanating from the magic circle grew stronger. If anyone entered the room, they wouldn't be able to see anything because of the light that was entirely blurring their vision. Lucy was walking briskly along his base. This is too soon. This is too soon. This is too soon. That wasn't the deal. Where are they? He yelled as he opened the hall door. Kaka, hello. Lucy looked at the man. He had messy black hair, pale skin, red eyes, and a creepy smiling expression on his face. The first impression Lucy had of this man was that he had several screws loose in his head. Einer Horseman, you're early. Yeah, my twin brother and I were looking forward to coming to the human world, you know. He started laughing again as if he found something funny. He doesn't seem to be anxious, Lucy said, and then he looked at the other man who was sitting on the couch while drinking blood from a teacup. Like Einer, this man looked similar to the younger twin, the only difference being that he dressed more politely, and his hair was straight, bright blood-red eyes, pale skin, shoulder-length straight black hair, and an expression that showed disinterest in everything. He was a man who had impeccable noble etiquette, but at the same time, he seemed to be dead inside. That was Lucy's impression of this man. Zwei horsemen. Lucy didn't know what to say. Unlike the younger brother who was easy to talk to, this man was simply impossible to understand what he was thinking. The man looks at Lucy and nods. Hello, he spoke in a dry tone, then he turned his face and started drinking his tea. Kaka, ignore my brother, you know how he is, it may not look like it, but he's anxious, right? Einar appears beside Zwei and forces a smile on his face. See? Lucy didn't know how to react when he saw Zwei's blank expression. Einar lets go of his brother's face. Let's talk business. Everyone could feel a little pressure coming from underground. Oh. Einar displayed a curious face. Below, Zwei spoke and drank the tea again. He didn't look interested. Looks like you guys rushed through the ritual. Einar spoke with the same goofy grin on his face. My partner was anxious, and she decided to rush the ritual. Lucy tried to comment indifferently, but Einar realized that Lucy was holding himself back from going underground. Kaka, let's go down. I want to see the results. Okay, Lucy nodded since he was also curious. Zwei got up from the couch and started walking ahead. Einar approached his brother and started making sounds like he was singing a song. Karen opened the coffin and left. She quickly started checking her body, but she immediately noticed something important. Nothing changed. What happened? She was trying to figure out what went wrong. She was so focused on her thoughts that she didn't notice someone approaching her. Kaka, are you disappointed? Nay. Are you disappointed? Unconsciously, she made a fist and attacked the man's face, but her fist was held by another man. Stronger, Zwei spoke. Yeah. She got stronger. Einar just laughed at everything. Did the ritual work? Lucy asked as he looked quite anxious. I don't know, she started to speak but was interrupted. The ritual failed. Einar chuckled. Impossible. We did everything right. Lucy couldn't believe it. He looked at both of them with the same smile on his face and said. Didn't you think it was too easy? Steal a sacred artifact from the church, ask a witch to perform a ritual, fill the coffin with the blood of the innocents, and use the blood of a random noble vampire, then you put all those ingredients in the blender, and boom. You become a noble vampire. The two were silent. Now that they thought about it, was it really that easy to change races? Right? Of course, it's not easy. Are you underestimating the noble vampires? With the same silly smile on his face, he spoke in a serious voice. You might be called vampires, but you're not the real vampires. We are totally different species, and you are a subspecies of us, a flaw, a product that was created only for use as a weapon. You are no better than the ghouls. Lucy and Karen clenched their fists tightly. But he returned to the playful voice, you were successful this time. Ha! The ritual was correct. After all, you got a little stronger, right? But you didn't get reborn because the main ingredient was missing. Einar claps his hands, and soon a tall man appears beside the twins holding a briefcase in his hand. When did he get here? Karen and Lucy thought. The ritual to become a noble vampire is easy, but getting the last ingredient is an impossible task. He opens the briefcase, and soon everyone can see a small vial of blood. By the time he opens the briefcase, Karen and Lucy's throats are starting to go dry. They are looking at the bottle with thirsty eyes, but there is also a bit of fear in their eyes. They were afraid of a small vial of blood. Tea, that is. Lucy stammered. He didn't know what that blood was, but one thing he was sure of, he needed that blood. Tea, this blood. Karen was thinking the same thing as Lucy. Einar took the bottle out and showed it to them, the blood of the king. It's not the blood of his descendants, it's not the blood of his wives, it's his blood. The king's blood. The progenitor, the strongest creature on earth, the being that has been walking this earth for over 5,000 years. That's the last ingredient. Do you want? We want it. Lucy and Karen reached out and reached for the bottle. Do you really want it? He kept smiling as if he was luring two little rabbits into a trap. Yes, we want it. Bam. He slammed the case closed with a loud bang. But I refuse. Kaka Einer started laughing madly, and he looked like he was enjoying himself. Edited by, is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/VictorWeissman. More characters images in, /4FETZAF, like it? Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 65, Changes. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. 6 months later, around the Colosseum, a woman with long white hair, light blue eyes, and pale skin was looking at the Colosseum, which was in a degraded state. She was wearing a modern-made dress. Finally, that creepy killing intent has disappeared. She circles around the Colosseum and focuses her attention on the structures. Amazing. How did they manage to destroy this structure? I see several high damage resistance magic enchantments around, and yet the structure has been compromised. She spoke in a beautiful voice that sounded like the voice of an angel. TSK. She puts her hand on her chin. I think it should be time anytime now. TSK. The woman looks to the side and sees a maid with oriental features. What? She was going to say something but couldn't because the maid turned her face away. TSK. The woman was speechless. Can you at least try to hide your annoyance? I feel like I heard an insect talking to me. Of course, it must be my imagination. After all, insects don't have intelligence. The maid spoke as she looked around. The woman's expression started to look like an annoyed squirrel, but quickly her expression changed to a cool expression. Kaguya, don't be a child. I didn't want this job either, but I was given orders and, I must follow them. Kaguya looks at the woman for the first time. You're right, Yuki. Sorry for my inappropriate behavior. Kaguya apologized. So, are we okay? Yuki smiled gently. Hell no. Kaguya displayed a professional smile. Yuki's smile broke. Oh. Kaguya and, who are you? Sasha appeared along with Ruby, Sienna, Pepper, Maria, and Lakis. Kaguya looks at Ruby and Sasha. I don't see or feel any drastic changes. Didn't they train? She thought. White hair, blue eyes, dressed as a maid, and accompanied by Kaguya, Pepper spoke. Suddenly, she made a water microphone and pointed at Ruby. The answer is? The Snow Clan. Papa Perrin, correct answer. Pepper laughed. Your reward is all the One Piece volumes. Ruby's eyes lit up. Everything. Everything. Pepper yelled. That is a good deal. Everyone ignored Ruby and Pepper's jokes. They were used to it. Except for Yuki, who was startled by Pepper's sudden scream. Kaguya looks at Yuki. She's not following me. She's just existing next to me. Then she turned her face away. Ruby and Sasha, who knew Kaguya the most, were speechless. What did you do to make her react like that? Sasha asked curiously. Tell me if you ever find out. Yuki spoke with a small sigh at the end. Who are you? Ruby asked. But we already know she's a Snow Clan maid. Pepper started to talk, but Lakis covered her mouth. She produced indecipherable sounds. Yuki bowed with traditional maid etiquette and said. At the order of Countess Agnes Snow and Count Adonis Snow, I came here to serve my new master Lord Victor Walker. Ruby and Sasha opened their eyes a little in surprise. They didn't expect this. TSK, Kaguya was annoyed again. She returns to her normal position and says, My name is Yuki Snow. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Pepper approached Yuki and took her hands. Yuki didn't expect this sudden intimate contact. Pepper started bombarding Yuki with questions. But, unfortunately, Yuki was so surprised that she couldn't answer any questions. Sasha looked at Ruby for a few seconds, and then she nodded at Ruby like she was trying to say something. Understanding what Sasha implied, Ruby decided to keep an eye on Yuki. For Ruby, the action of sending a Snow clan maid, who was the main clan, was quite suspicious. She was thinking that Yuki was sent to watch Victor, which would make sense. After all, their only heiress had married a stranger. Violet's clan must know about Victor, but they must not have cared at first. They must have been thinking that Victor would just be Violet's food, but suddenly, this food turned into Violet's husband. Ruby thought. She was trying to understand why Violet's clan sent a maid to Victor. For all of Ruby's intelligence, she could never deduce that Adonis, Violet's father, was quite interested in her daughter's new husband. They are coming. Sienna, who was leaning against the tree, said. She stopped her work just to see the result of her mother's new disciple, although Sienna's expectations were low. After all, they only trained for 6 months. In 6 months, he must have advanced a bit. Maybe he can face Pepper now. She thought. Suddenly the Colosseum door began to slowly open, and the moment the door was opened, everyone suddenly felt very heavy. What? Yuki, who was younger than everyone present, fell to the ground. She felt like her whole body was heavy, and she could feel her instincts screaming danger. Darling? Ruby stuttered a little. This is him. Sasha couldn't believe what she was seeing. Impossible. Sienna opened her mouth in shock. She was the strongest of the group along with Lakis. She could see beyond Victor's killing intent. Has he improved so much? As expected. He went beyond what I thought. Lakis chuckled a little. She didn't seem affected by Victor's killing intent. As someone who has trained with Victor briefly, she knows how fast he gets better. To be honest, she felt it was unfair. Just for a brief comparison, he completely surpassed Pepper's level. And knowing my mother, she must have taught Victor tricks. So maybe he can fight vampires over 200 years old. Thinking that a man who was just 21 years old has already reached Pepper's level of power, Lakis can't help but feel sour. Kaguya exhibited a small smile when she noticed Victor's progress. She looked at Yuki, who was lying on the ground with sweat running down her body. Kaguya's shadow covered Yuki, although, for some reason, she doesn't like Yuki. Kaguya is still proud as a maid, and she wouldn't let the new maid be embarrassed in front of her master. Thanks. Yuki got up from the floor. Maria stared coldly at Victor, who opened the door completely. Her body was giving small danger signals, but she ignored everything and concentrated on the man. He was wearing a full burgundy red suit and, on his hands, he had 2 white gloves that had a blood-red magic circle etched on top of the glove, and his back has a purple coat that was draped around his shoulders. And more importantly, his old blue eyes have completely disappeared, and now his eyes have turned blood-red. Finishing opening the door fully, he looked at everyone. Oh. He displayed a small smile. Were you waiting for me? Scathack appears behind Victor and looks at the group. She displays a seductive smile. What are you doing? Everyone was shocked, but it wasn't because of Victor's appearance but because of Scathack's presence. Did she seem calmer? The old menacing presence that always existed around her had disappeared. And that wasn't all they noticed. There was the obvious change in her eye color. The old blood-red eyes that showed she was always hungry disappeared and were replaced by an emerald green just like Ruby's. Scathack's green eyes look at everyone present, and then focus on Yuki. She looks at Victor. Victor. Stupid. Control your instinct. Oh, I forgot. He scratched his cheek a little. Suddenly all the menacing pressure coming out of Victor's body disappeared. Sigh. Yuki sighed in relief, and then she started watching Victor. This is my new master. She didn't know how to feel. Mother, your eyes. Ruby pointed with her hand that was shaking like crazy. What? Sasha was going to say something, but suddenly Sienna yelled. What happened in that Colosseum? Did you guys notice? Scathack smiled. It's obvious. Lakis and Pepper yelled. Victor takes a step, then suddenly disappears. Soon he appears beside Sasha and Ruby. I miss you. Soon, he hugs the two. Ruby and Sasha immediately hugged Victor. Darling. Husband. That the two hugged Victor tighter. They couldn't deny they were lovesick too. Lakis, who observed what Victor did, immediately understood what he did. That's my technique. She inadvertently bit her tongue. Mother. Lakis looked to her mother for answers. Ha ha ha. Scathach didn't say anything, she just laughed sensually. Do not laugh. Sienna screamed. Oh. Have you grown up enough to try to boss me around? Scathach's eyes changed to blood red, and her pressure changed to something more menacing. Sienna recoiled, sorry. Ha ha ha, Scathach chuckled, she looked at her daughter with emerald green eyes, I'm kidding, the pressure disappeared as if it hadn't existed. Lakis, Pepper, and Sienna didn't know how to react, their mother playing. Is the sun rising in this world where night is eternal? Maybe the vampire king got gender bent. The three sisters looked at Victor, and they wondered, what in the name of the seven hells happened in that Colosseum? Their mother didn't seem willing to say anything, and they know the minor threat she made to Sienna was a warning not to meddle too much. How are you? Are you okay? Did you sleep well? Did someone mistreat you? Oh. You must be thirsty. Victor looked more like a mother than a husband. Dee darling, we're fine. Stop undressing. Ruby quickly said when she saw that Victor started taking off his suit. Why yeah, we can control our bloodlust. Sasha quickly grabbed Victor's hands. Oh, for some reason, he looked disappointed. But you are still thirsty, right? He displayed a loving smile. They couldn't deny what he said. Okay, when we get back, I'll be your meal, he spoke with a teasing smile. Ruby and Sasha's faces turned a little red, but they wouldn't deny that they had high expectations, especially since it had been a while since they had drunk his blood. Victor looks at a white-haired woman standing next to Kaguya, then he takes a step and disappears again. Who are you? He appeared beside the woman's body shivered all over, Agaya. The woman screamed in a cute voice, she quickly looks to the side and sees Victor's eyes. White hair, blue eyes, wearing maid's uniform, he started walking around Yuki as if he was sizing her up. For some reason, Yuki felt a little nervous, he stopped in front of Yuki, Violet's maid, Yuki raised her head a little, after all, Victor was very tall, wrong. She stuttered a little as she looked into Victor's red eyes. Oh. He exhibited a small smile and lightly touched Yuki's chin. Tell me, who are you? I. Yuki's face turned completely red, she wasn't used to having so much intimate contact. You. I'm your maid. For some reason, she found it difficult to speak that sentence. My maid, edited by, is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/victorweissman. More characters images in, /4fetzaf, like it? Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 66, Something Happens. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. My maid? Victor displayed a confused face. Yes. Victor puts his hand to his chin as if he's thinking. Kaguya, he called in an orderly tone. Kaguya approached Victor. Yes, Lord Vic. She stopped talking when she felt Victor stroking her head, she felt goosebumps all over her body for a moment. What do you think about this? He asked, he looks at Kaguya's black hair and nods, satisfied. He was missing this, and Scathach wouldn't let him stroke her head. It doesn't matter to me, and it was Lady Violet's parents' order. I don't have much of an opinion on the matter, Kaguya said. Yuki almost put on an angry squirrel face, but she managed to control herself and keep her poker face. Victor displayed an unreadable smile. Lord Victor, you may not know, but I am also your personal maid now. Lady Violet fired me and transferred the master rights to you. But, first, we need to talk about my salary and what kind of contract we're going to make. Oh. But I can't pay you, you know. He chuckled. She nodded in agreement. As expected, I'm going to have to fire you. Kaguya's entire body shook. Maybe in the future, I'll hire you as my maid, but now, I'm broke. Victor stopped stroking Kagaya's head and slowly backed away. W8. He looked at Kagaya, who held his suit. You can take out a loan, and, in the future, when you earn money, you can pay me back. He flashed a smile, are you sure? Why yes, she stuttered a little. She was thinking about her vacation, but when she remembered that the sacrifice was for the greater good, she didn't care. It's for the greater good, after all. Ha ha ha, Victor laughed happily, then he lifted Kagaya and looked her in the eyes, you can't go back now. Looking into Victor's blood-red eyes, Kagaya sighed and thought, whatever. Strangely, she no longer cared. Put me down, please. Of course. Sasha and Ruby were staring at Victor with a deadly glare. Why is he acting like this? Is it unconscious? Ruby spoke coldly, the air around her cooling rapidly. Is he becoming a playboy? Sasha whispered in a dangerous voice. Scat-Hack appears behind Sasha and Ruby, she wraps her arm around Sasha and Ruby. Yeah, he might not realize it, but he instinctively knows how to act with women. When I questioned him about it, he said his mom taught him about women. Anna. Ruby sighed. Well, she seems to be that kind of mother. Sasha sighed at the end. I will visit her in the future, she seems to be interesting. Scat-Hack flashed a smile. Ruby turns her face to her mother, and, looking into her mother's emerald green eyes, she says, why this sudden interest in my darling's family? That the corners of Scat-Hack's mouth turned up a little. Can't I be interested in my disciples' parents? Ruby didn't know how to respond. Yes, you can. But don't get too close to him. Sasha growled, and slapped Scat-Hack's hand, then she walks closer to Victor. Kaka, she's jealous. Mother. Ruby looked at her mother. Don't look at me like that, my daughter, you're going to make a hole in my head with your gaze. You dash. Ruby was about to say something, but suddenly everyone could hear a loud scream. Darling. Yuki, Maria, and Sienna put their hands over their ears. Ugh, Pepper covers her ears. How does her throat work? Does she have a superpower that raises the volume of her voice or something? Victor quickly looked up at the sky, then his smile grew, and he pulled away from everyone and opened his arms. Everyone looked to where Victor was looking, and they could see a beam of fire in the air. She's flying. That's so cool. Pepper's eyes sparkled. Heh, she finally got better, that stupid girl, Scat-Hack chuckled. Violet started to descend at high speed towards Victor, and soon a small violet-shaped meteor hits Victor. Everyone expected a big explosion to happen, but unexpectedly, before Violet touched Victor, her power completely disappeared. Darling. 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 She has improved in her power control, Ruby praised. Victor hugged Violet tighter. How are you? Are you okay? No, I'm not fine, I need my vitamin V. Vitamin V? He asked, confused. She puts her finger to Victor's lips. I'm reloading now. Then she hugs him tighter. Victor smiled lovingly, and soon he started stroking Violet's head. While Victor and Violet were in their world, Luna suddenly appeared. Lady Scat-Hack, you are late. The game starts in 3 days, we were supposed to be in. She was going to say something, but when she looked at Victor, she was speechless. He got stronger. Oh, the game, huh? I totally forgot about it, Scat-Hack said. Let's go. We need to go to the capital. Scat-Hack started walking towards her mansion. When Luna looked at Scat-Hack, she was speechless again. She hadn't realized it because she was in a hurry, but her eyes weren't red anymore. What happened in that Colosseum? She thought inwardly. Scat-Hack has stopped walking and looks back. Aren't you coming? The women look at each other and nod. On the walk back home, a strange situation was happening. Victor was walking with Violet sitting on his shoulder, and beside him were Ruby and Sasha, and a little further back were Yuki, Kagaya, Maria, and Luna. I didn't expect this, Yuki commented in disbelief. What? Maria asked. Kagaya and Luna were a little surprised to hear Maria speak, but they didn't convey that surprise on their faces. I didn't know my master was married to the 3 flowers of the vampire world. 3 flowers? What is this weird title? The 4 flowers of the vampire world is a title given by all male vampires. The title speaks of Ruby, Sasha, and Violet, along with the youngest daughter of the king who was born with supernatural beauty even to vampires. Oh. She understood now. So you're surprised he's married to 3 of the 4 flowers in the vampire world? Yes, Yuki replied. Maria looks at Victor, who was carrying Violet on his shoulders. Seeing him laughing and happily chatting with his wives, she adjusts her glasses and speaks with a serious expression. I have a feeling that if he meets the daughter of the king of vampires, they will end up together. The 3 maids were surprised by this bold statement. Impossible, Kagaya immediately spoke. Oh. Why? Maria asked. Lord Victor is a faithful man, and he won't run after other women if he already has 3 wives. Maria, Luna, and Yuki looked blankly at Kagaya. What? Didn't you realize you were flirting with him a few minutes ago? Maria spoke. That's not flirting. What is it then? Yuki asked. This is a form of thanks. Yes, this is a form of thanks. After all, I'm a hard-working maid. The 3 maids rolled their eyes. Believe me, he can treat me like that, but he doesn't have any hidden desires. It's just the way he is, he's a caring man. The 3 were silent and decided not to prolong the conversation. They knew it would be useless to say something now, and also because they realized they were getting close to the mansion. Before we go, Victor and I should take a decent shower. They had a bath in the Colosseum, but they were very simplified, and the bathroom was created with that intention because, in training, luxuries are not allowed. Yeah, you're right, Scat-Hack, Victor agreed, and he started walking in a random direction. Did he know the location of the bathroom? Of course not, but he didn't need to know the location of the bathroom. After all, he knew that he would eventually find one of the bathrooms in this gigantic mansion. Let's go. Scat-Hack nodded and followed Victor. Wait! Violet, Ruby, and Sasha yelled simultaneously, then they disappeared and appeared in front of Victor and Scat-Hack. What? Victor and Scat-Hack asked at the same time. Are you guys going to take a shower together? Ruby yelled. Yeah. Victor turned his head a little confused. And don't you realize this situation is weird? For God's sake, she's my mother. She is your mother-in-law. Oh. Now that you say it's true. Victor nodded. Master, you are my mother-in-law. He looked at Scat-Hack and spoke with shock visible on his face. Yeah, did you forget? She smiled seductively. Well, I was busier trying to survive, just remembering that he had every part of his body taken out in grotesque ways made his body shudders a little. He's not going to lie and say he's not a little traumatized by the training that he went through, but as time went by, he got used to it, and the pain became tolerable. If Scat-Hack asked him to train again, would he go? Of course, yes. He liked to train with her, and he also loved the sense of progress. The feeling of growing stronger was something very addictive. The 3 wives were speechless. Wait. From the way you're reacting like everything is normal, don't tell me you guys have already done this. Sasha yelled. Yes. I was beaten every day in a lot of different ways, and it was Scat-Hack who carried me to the bathroom. Victor nodded. Violet's body began to release a dark, distorted pressure, her eyes turned dark, and she looked at Scat-Hack. What? She smiled teasingly. Before Violet did something stupid, Ruby quickly held her up like a sack of potatoes. Put me down. She spoke in a distorted voice. Ruby ignored Violet and looked at her mother. Darling, go shower with us. You're going to shower alone. Hell no. I'll do what I want, and you can come with us. Mother. Ruby didn't believe what she heard. What? Realizing that this is not going anywhere, Victor said. I'm taking a shower, follow me if you want. Now give me Violet. He approached Ruby and picked up Violet, and carried her like a princess. Violet quickly hugs Victor's neck and glares at Scathach menacingly. Soon, he walked in a random direction. The people around were speechless when they saw Victor treating Violet like a teddy bear. Well, let's go. Scathach soon followed Victor. Sasha and Ruby still couldn't believe what they were seeing. Wait! The two shouted in unison and followed Victor. Ruby and Sasha weren't alone. Everyone who knew Scathach's personality enough to tell what kind of person she was, weren't believing what they were seeing either. Only one question remained in these people's minds: what happened in that damn Colosseum? Edited by, is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/VictorWeissman. More characters images in, /4FETZAF, like it? Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 67, A Weird Situation Indeed. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. In an unnecessarily large, luxurious bathroom, Victor, Violet, Ruby, Sasha, and Scathach were showering the way they came into the world. This is weird, Sasha spoke up. Scathach, pass me the shampoo, Victor asked. Scathach, who was in the bathtub, looks to the side, and, seeing the shampoo, she takes it and throws it to Victor. Take it. Victor raises his hand and catches it. Thanks. Then he goes back to washing Violet's hair. Violet didn't want to think about anything right now. Her mind was blank and, she was just enjoying it. This is definitely weird. Sasha yelled. Victor, who was washing Violet's hair, and Scathach, who was in the bathtub, looked at Sasha and spoke at the same time. What? Sasha's face turned red with frustration. This whole situation is weird. What's is weird, girl? Sasha's head seemed to be fanning out in anger. The fact that my husband and I are bathing naked next to my mother. That's what's weird. Ruby spoke in a much cooler tone than usual. Even the water around her seemed to be creating little blocks of ice. Scathach, hand me the soap. Take it. She takes the soap and throws it towards Victor. Victor takes the soap and then starts washing every corner of Violet's body. Ruby just looked at all this with even colder eyes. She looked at Violet, trying to get some help, but she was speechless when she saw Violet's face that looked like someone who had entered a state of enlightenment. You're thinking too much. She heard her mother's voice. She looked at her mother and saw that she leaned against the bathtub and closed her eyes. Just relax. Sasha and Ruby were almost freaking out internally. I'm done. Ruby and Sasha looked at Violet and saw her writhing on the floor with a happy expression. They could even see that her eyes were unfocused. To be honest, they were a little scared. Violet seemed to be out of her mind. This massage technique is amazing. Victor chuckled. Yeah. I know, right? Scathach exhibited a small smile. Ruby and Sasha couldn't take it anymore and were about to explode in anger and demand an explanation. You guys are next, Victor said as he walked towards Ruby and Sasha. Heh. The two did not know how to react. Wait, Ruby started to stutter when she saw Victor approaching with that visible thing swaying back and forth as if trying to hypnotize her. Why yeah, I'm not ready yet. Sasha got up and tried to run away. She didn't want to end up looking like Violet. She was going to die of embarrassment. No excuses. And I need to give you my blood too. Victor's eyes flashed a dangerous red. Ruby and Sasha tried to run away, but it was useless. Victor appeared beside them and then caught the two like they were sacks of potatoes. No. The two screamed. Scathach opens one of her eyes. What a monster I created. As expected of me, she nodded in satisfaction, then she closed her eyes and relaxed again. Then? Who are we waiting for? Victor spoke out loud with a neutral expression on his face. Shouldn't we be running or something? I heard we're late. Victor was wearing the outfit he got from Scat-Hack. I don't want to run. I just bathed, Scat-Hack said. She was wearing her usual form-fitting battle suit. We are waiting for my foolish disciple. Oh. Victor was interested. Is she strong? Yeah, she is. Scat-Hack flashed a smile. Interesting. Victor approaches Yuki and starts stroking her head. Yuki's face turned red, but she quickly managed to control her expression. What are you doing, master? Kaguya went out somewhere saying she needed to sort out some contract issues. Scat-Hack won't let me stroke her hair, and my wives are like that. So, in the end, you're left. Yuki was speechless. That was supposed to be an explanation. Speaking of Scat-Hack. Victor still remembers when he tried to stroke Scat-Hack's hair. What are you doing, stupid disciple? Scat-Hack asked with neutral eyes as she looked at Victor, who tried to pat her head. I've been trying to relax. It's been 2 months, you know. Victor spoke, then he tried to stroke her head again. When his hands would have touched Scat-Hack's hair, the woman disappeared. Stupid disciple, are you treating me like a child? Scat-Hack's red eyes glittered dangerously. Victor made an expression, I wish Kaguya were here. He spoke in a sad voice. Scat-Hack was speechless when she saw Victor's reaction. Stop thinking about bullshit, she turned her face and started walking. Let's take a shower, and then we have to go back to training. Victor wasn't motivated. He knows that the training she was talking about is him being beaten daily. In the first month, it was fun, but then it just became boring. He wasn't feeling his progress, even though Scat-Hack said several times that he was progressing. But would he stop fighting because of it? Of course not. He likes to fight no matter the season or the time of day. But he just wasn't motivated. If you make a little cut on my body, I'll let you do what you want, Scat-Hack said. Victor's eyes changed to a bright blood red, and his whole body began to give off a dangerous sensation. Scat-Hack smiled seductively, you look motivated. Victor takes his great sword, let's go. I have an important mission to do. He spoke in a surprisingly serious voice. The Inquisition is released and, I have to hunt a 2,000-year-old vampire. All for the greater good. God bless me. He seemed more motivated than the very hunters who had faced Scat-Hack in the past. Scat-Hack, a vampire over 2,000 years old, didn't know how to react to Victor's strange words at that moment. Sigh. Victor sighed. In the end, he couldn't scratch her body, and he was depressed for a few days. What happened to them? Pepper asked in curiosity as she looked over at Ruby, Violet, and Sasha, who were sitting back to back with addled faces. They seem out of their minds, Lakis spoke. Ruby. Sienna appears accompanied by Luna. She approaches Ruby. Are you alright, sister? She asked, a little worried. She called Ruby several times in an attempt to get her sister to respond. But Ruby didn't answer anything, she seemed to be staring into space. They just experienced something I taught Victor. Scat-Hack flashed a mysterious smile. It's a technique I learned when I was bored. The technique is a simple massage that relaxes the whole body, and it was a technique used by an assassin from the past. Assassin? Sienna raised an eyebrow. Yes. He would kill the victim by massaging them, and when the victim was completely relaxed, he would hang them, a quick and simple job. Scat-Hack nodded to herself. I learned this technique and improved it. Now, this technique can kill a being simply because the being has become too relaxed and has stopped thinking. Just what kind of nonsense is this woman talking about? A massage technique that can kill because it makes you stop thinking? Those were the thoughts of Lakis, Pepper, and Sienna. Interested? Do you want to try it? Scat-Hack laughed and pointed to Victor, sitting on the floor with Yuki, who had a completely red face, in his lap. Victor looked at the three sisters, then he smiled and gestured with his hand. Come and experience the pleasures of a massage that can make you meet the god himself. He looked like a lone shark offering a shady deal. I humbly decline. Pepper took a step back and hid behind her mother. Pass. Lakis also refused. Sienna's eyes sparkled, she seemed to be interested, she thought, a technique created by the mother, maybe I can learn it too. That's it. What a shame. Victor looked sad. Oh, they arrived. Scathach looks away, everyone looked to where Scathach was looking and saw nothing. They used their vampire senses to their fullest, but still, they couldn't feel anything, only Sienna and Lakis could feel anything, but even so, it was a considerable distance for them. Victor focuses his gaze, and soon his world turns blood red. What is that? He asked curiously. Huh? Can you see, Victor? Yes, since he couldn't explain what he was seeing, he decided to keep silent. Master, please, let go of me. She was very embarrassed, but it's not like she hated it either, it was a strange feeling. Hell no. Yuki's expression changed to that of a sad squirrel. After a few minutes of waiting, everyone could hear the sounds of horses and armor in the distance. It was like an army was marching towards them. Oh. You're fast, Victor spoke as he looked at the woman who appeared beside Scathach. Ka. Did you get to this place from your territory in less than a day? Looks like you and your army didn't fail in training. She laughed contentedly. Fway. Pepper couldn't react to the woman's sudden appearance, she was only startled when she saw a tall woman standing next to her. She wasn't the only one, Maria, Luna, and Yuki couldn't react either. You've gotten stronger, Eleonor. And that's not a good thing. Lakis spoke with a pitying expression. Yes. Sienna nodded in agreement with Lakis' words. Eleonor ignored the two women and said, Master, I'm glad to see you again. As she went to kneel, Scathach grabbed her shoulders. Stop. You are a countess now. Never kneel to anyone, especially to I who am in the same status as you. She spoke in a cold voice that shivered all over Eleanor's spine. But you aren't just anyone, Master. Did you not listen to me? Scathach's eyes changed to blood red. Eleanor nods and adjusts her position. Good, Scathach nodded in satisfaction, then her eyes changed to sapphire green, which was something Eleanor noticed too. Master, why you eyes? She was stuttering a lot. Yeah, what about them? Before Eleanor could answer anything, everyone could see an army of black knights approaching. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/victorweissman. More characters images in, /4FETZAF, like it. Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 68, Countess Eleonor Adresteia. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 68, Countess Eleonor Adresteia. Victor looked at the army with eyes shining with curiosity since it was the first time he had seen something like that, an army of black knights with black lances bigger than the knights themselves. Their appearance was quite menacing, especially with those red eyes gleaming behind the helmet. They're all vampires, Victor's smile grew. He got up from the ground and released Yuki, who sighed in relief, and at the same time, felt disappointed for some reason. He totally ignored the frightening pressure the army was putting out and approached the horses since he was very curious about them. These horses, they're not normal. Victor looked at the horses and saw that the horses' eyes were blood red. Looking around, Victor saw a horse that was riderless, and soon he approached the horse and touched it. Then he started stroking the horse's head. Theory, Rillinchin. The horse neighed happily. He, aren't you a good girl? Tell me, you're a good girl. He realized the horse was female. Theory, Rillinchin. The horse hit the ground and brought her head closer to Victor. Eleanor, the horse's owner, seeing this scene from a distance, couldn't help but comment. To think that Chloe would like someone. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Chloe never let strangers touch her, and Victor touched her so easily. Kaka, Scathach laughed in amusement. She was looking at everything with great pleasure. It was like she was waiting for something to happen. Because of the noise of the army, the wives who were in a new unknown world slowly began to wake up. Huh? Who are these stormtroopers? Ruby spoke a little groggy. They are Countess Eleonor Adresteia's personal army, Luna replied. Eleanor. Sasha looks at the tall woman. She had long flowing white hair, pale skin like all vampires, and bright golden eyes. She was wearing a simple red coat with black gloves on her hands, a simple white shirt that couldn't hide her H-cup breasts, along with a pair of black jeans that highlighted her big legs, and what stood out the most about her was that she was a tall woman. She looked almost the same height as Victor, but with the eyes of an expert maid, like Yuki and Luna, they could tell she was 190 cm tall. Eleanor. Hi, Sasha. How are you? She nodded to Sasha. I'm fine, thanks. Sasha stretched. Violet gets up off the floor and shakes her head a little to get rid of the feeling that her brain is melting. Yo, bitch from the west, how are you? Violet stretched a little like Sasha. You're still as rude as ever, Violet. And I'm fine, thanks. She spoke with a gentle smile. Oh. That's too bad. I thought you were going to die from a random thug someday. Veins began to pop in Eleanor's head. You're still tall as usual, huh? In fact, I think you've grown even more in height. Are you trying to cosplay a giraffe? Eleanor's smile threatened to break at any moment. Take a deep breath, Eleanor. The master is here, the master is here, don't lose control. You know this bitch, she's always like that. It's nothing new. Fway. Is the earth shaking? Pepper looked at the ground with a cute face. Have you forgotten what Eleanor's power is, Pepper? Sienna looked at her sister. Pepper looks at Sienna with a cute expression. Of course I remember. Ito. She started to panic. Sigh, Sienna puts her hand to her head. Well, don't blame her so much. Pepper is a bit dumb sometimes. Lakis spoke. Yes, she forgets things easily. Pepper's face threatens to cry at any moment, but suddenly she is hit by a gust of wind in her face. Phew. She looks to the side and sees Victor swinging a completely black greatsword that was bigger than him, and he was twirling that big sword like it was nothing. Ha 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 ha, he looked like he was having fun. Hey! What are you doing with my sword? Eleanor quickly yelled. She walked with quick steps towards Victor, but inside she was a little shocked that he managed to lift all that weight like it was nothing. Swinging it? Victor replied as he turned his face away. That's not what I meant. Oh. Victor understood the problem. Can I borrow this horse and sword for a few hours? He asked with a polite smile while looking very noble. Theory, Rilinch Chloe approached Victor and whinnied as if asking permission too. Of course you can't. She practically screamed, and all her noble looks were gone like leaves in the wind. These are my things. Mine. And Chloe, don't pay attention to him. TSK. Knowing he was wrong to take other people's things without permission, Victor obediently backed off. He looks at the horse and strokes the horse's mane. Don't worry, soon I will save you from this insensitive woman. He spoke like someone who was saying goodbye to a longtime companion. Theory, Rilinch. Chloe nodded, and everyone could see small tears in the horse's eyes. I know. But, soon, I will save you. Hey! Why am I the villain of the story? Eleanor stomped on the ground in frustration. She was freaking out. Victor reluctantly pulls away from Chloe, but soon he feels someone touching his shoulder. What do you think you're doing? He heard Eleanor's cold voice. Huh? But weren't you the one who asked me to get away from Chloe? He spoke in an innocent voice. It's not that. Give me back my sword. Oh. Don't give me that, oh. Give it back. Fine, take it. Why does this seem so difficult to you? God damn it. Just take it. Victor puts down the sword and hands it to Eleanor, and he uses his other hand to cup his face as if covering his crying face. Eleanor ignores all this and grabs the sword hilt. Ah, you did it. Violet suddenly appears beside Eleanor. Huh. You made him cry. you made my husband cry. Look what you did, Violet spoke with a sad face. Eleanor's face changed several times, she gripped the hilt of her sword harder and looked at Violet with a face red from anger, but in the end, she wasn't a bad person. She took a long breath as if she were giving up on something. Fine. I will lend it. But for just an hour. Seriously. Victor turns his face away and looks at Eleanor with his eyes shining. Why yeah, Eleanor was taken aback by this sudden change. Yes. Victor hugged Eleanor. WWH. She didn't know how to react to this sudden intimate contact. Soon Victor separates from Eleanor and approaches Violet. I love you, Violet. Victor kisses Violet on the mouth. Huh. Violet was taken aback as she returned Victor's kiss. Victor stops kissing Violet and runs into the forest. Wait, darling. We need to go to the capital. Don't go too far. Oh, Victor stopped running and stared at the forest as if he was thinking about something. Whatever. In the end, he just decided to swing the sword right there. He positioned himself and brandished the sword. Fush, a gust of wind flew in a straight line and destroyed several trees. Ha 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 ha, this is fun. Then, he began to practice what he learned from Scathach. Every time he brandished the sword, powerful gusts of wind were felt throughout the group. Oh, some knights spoke. They looked impressed, although because of their training, they didn't react much. Here, take some blood. Ruby appeared beside Eleanor. Thanks, Eleanor drank all the blood in one gulp, and somehow, she was feeling better. Kaka, I knew something interesting was going to happen when he met you, Scathach chuckled. Master, I heard about him a few days ago, and I didn't believe it, but it's really true. Eleanor looked at Ruby, Sasha, and Violet. He actually married them. Yeah. He is also my last disciple. Huh. What do you mean, Master? Exactly what I mean, I won't teach anyone else for a long time. 6 months was just enough to teach him the basics, I need more time to cut this diamond. Scathach chuckled in amusement. Scathach's daughters, Victor's wives, and Eleanor didn't know how to react to Scathach's words. Especially Eleanor, since she hoped that her teacher would train her army again. Sienna, Lakis, and Pepper might not look it, but they were freaking out internally. Did he get so strong just learning the basics? Bullshit. They know that Scathach's teaching standard is very high if she said she only taught the basics. This means that she has completely strengthened Victor's foundation for the future. Watching Victor brandish the sword, Pepper also noticed something, he's using my force control technique. Huh. Sienna and Lakis didn't know how to react. Mother. Did you teach our techniques to that man? Yeah, Scathach spoke like it was no big deal. And mother. Ruby stuttered and didn't know how to react to this knowledge. She knows that learning what the sisters learned was not easy, especially Ruby, who had to go through a long period of torture to learn how to control her power precisely. He was like a sponge that soaked up everything I threw at him, and I thought, why not? I wanted to test how much he could learn. And in the end, he learned all 5 of the basic techniques. As expected from Darling. Violet was just as happy as if she was the one who had achieved something. Sasha was silent, she heard about Scathach techniques directly from Ruby's sisters, and she knows how absurd these techniques are. 5. Wasn't it 4? Lakis asked. It's 5. I just didn't teach any of you the last one because you weren't ready, Scathach said. Just out of curiosity, what is the 5th technique? Pepper raised her hand and asked in a cute voice. It's control. And the prerequisite for learning this technique is learning all 4 other techniques. She decided to demonstrate since it's easier to show than to explain. Victor. What? Victor stopped brandishing the sword and looked at Scathach. Come here. Okay. And return Eleanor's sword. Oh okay, he replied with a little difficulty. He looks at the sword as if looking at a friend who has to say goodbye, then after that. He positions himself as if he is about to throw something, then with a small gesture of strength, he throws the sword he was holding towards Eleanor. She couldn't believe he threw her sword like that. Seeing that Violet was going to try to get the sword, she said, "Stop, you're going to get hurt." Huh? Violet stopped walking, she steps forward and raises her hand, then a loud sound as if a heavy object is colliding with another heavy object is heard. She grabs the sword hilt and holds it comfortably on her shoulder. Even the ground beneath Eleanor was damaged with a cobweb of cracks. Just how many kilos does that sword weigh? Those were the thoughts of Violet, Ruby, and Sasha, who were close to Eleanor. Edited by, is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/VictorWeissman. More characters images in, /4FETZAF, like it? Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 69, Countess Eleonor Adresteia 2. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Seeing the shocked faces of Violet, Sasha, and Ruby, she explained. My sword is very heavy, and no ordinary vampire can lift it without the proper training. Why is it so heavy? Doesn't that hurt in a fight against another vampire? Ruby asked. That's because her sword wasn't created to fight other vampires. Lakis replied. Eleanor is silent. She can understand that Lakis said this on purpose to pique Ruby's curiosity. What do you mean? Ruby asked. Lakis didn't answer anything. Forget it, Ruby. That's not something you need to know right now. Sienna supported her sister. Ruby was silent. Why? Why can't she know? Sasha asked. Because this is a rule created by the king. Only the king, or the leaders of the Count clan can give that kind of information. The rule is silenced by a magical contract, Violet explained. You seem to know about this, Violet. Ruby looked at Violet with a glint in her eyes. Oh. Who told you about it? My mother. Agnes. Eleanor sighed. Remember, don't overdo it, okay? Then, hearing Skathaka's voice, the group looked toward the woman who was talking to Victor, leaving that subject aside. For now, the women decided to watch what Victor was going to do. Okay. You don't have to keep repeating it. I don't want you to destroy the entire forest. The poor thing already suffers from my daughters and me. Where did this cheap sentimentality come from out of nowhere? This is not like you. Just hire a witch to revitalize the forest or something. I changed, okay? In fact, my head is clearer now. Then, realizing she was getting off the subject, she said, just don't overdo it, and just use the ice. Okay. Skathak nods with satisfaction. Eleanor pointed her trembling finger at Skathak. This is my master. Victor's wives and Skathaka's daughters were silent. They also didn't know what was going on. But one thing they were sure of. They didn't know how to react to this situation. They weren't used to Skathak reacting so differently. And Victor's wives aren't enjoying this change at all. Mostly Ruby. Victor relaxes his body a little and assumes a fighting stance. This position. It's the same as mine. No, it's a little different. Sienna analyzed. The magic symbol on Victor's glove starts to glow blood red. Just ice, just ice. He muttered over and over as if trying to concentrate. His fist is covered in an ice glove, and with a quick punch that only people like Sienna and Skathak could see, he punches the air. Boom! The women heard a noise as if the air had been broken. The air pressure was so intense that the forest could not take it and it was torn apart, and there was no tree left to tell the story. And the effect of the attack is not over. After the wind pressure was gone, everyone could see that a small part of the forest had turned into a snowy area. Victor. Skathak disappears and appears beside Victor, and then she slaps him on the head. You overreacted. How am I going to explain anything now? But I did it right. Who? Where is this correct? I told you not to overdo it. I didn't exaggerate. It is the forest that is weak. It's not my fault. The two leaned their foreheads against each other and started facing each other as if they were about to fight at any moment. Monster, Master created another monster. Eleanor spoke. This is ridiculous, there's nothing left of the poor forest, Pepper commented. Sienna just looked at Victor with an emotionless face. It looked like she needed to reassess her opinion of him. Lakis didn't say anything either. I can do something like that. Violet didn't want to miss it. Let me show you. No. Sasha held Violet. Violet, just don't try to compete now, okay? We know that with your fire, you can wreak havoc. But. Just no, okay? Ruby spoke in a more assertive tone. I don't want my house to become a deserted place, just hire a witch, Violet pouted. Ruby said nothing and stared at Violet. Okay. She sighed. Ladies. Shouldn't we have left for the capital now? Luna suddenly reminded everyone. Oh, everyone has completely forgotten about that. Scathack and Victor move away from each other. Soon Scathack explains her technique. Originally, this attack was to freeze everything in a straight line, but Victor put in a lot of force, and because of that, there's nothing left to be frozen. This is like a combination of my technique and Pepper's technique, Sienna said. Yes. Control is the fifth technique. Control focuses on using all four techniques as efficiently as possible. Now, do you understand why I never taught you? Yes, we're not ready yet, Ruby said. Yes. Unfortunately, you guys aren't as passionate about training as he is. She didn't want to discourage their daughters and say that they didn't have the same talent as Victor either. After all, she knows it was because of Victor's blood and mindset that made it possible for him to learn things in such a short time. If he only had the talent, he wouldn't be so strong in such a short time. The mentality of looking at training as fun made it possible for him to learn things faster since, when someone is having fun learning something, they learn faster. It's common sense, and she's sure her blood played a big part in his training, though she wasn't going to say it out loud. That's not true, we train. Pepper was about to protest, but she stopped talking when she heard her mother's voice. Lakis lives in her sleep. You live watching cartoons together with Ruby, and I also know you got weaker because you didn't practice what I taught you, and Sienna is always busy, and when she's not busy working, she's looking for a husband. Ruby, Lakis, and Pepper had no way to defend themselves from their mother's words, but Pepper said something in a low voice. It's not cartoon. It's anime. Mother. Sienna couldn't believe her mother said that out loud. Victor laughed at the same time as Violet. Desperate woman. The two said at the same time. You guys. Sienna's eyes flashed blood red. We need to go. Luna screamed again. Everyone nodded in agreement. Ha. Victor was laughing a lot. He was currently riding Chloe, and as a special horse, the speed Chloe was running was very high, and this was a new experience for Victor. The horse was faster than any car he had ridden in the past, and he felt intoxicated when the wind hit him in the face. Violet, Ruby, and Sasha just looked at it with a dry look. Although Sasha was in the mood to join Victor, she thought it looked fun. Chloe. Why did you abandon me? Eleanor was looking at Chloe like a woman who had been dumped by another man. Currently, the group was going to the capital in a luxurious carriage prepared by Eleanor, and in this carriage was Eleanor, Victor, Violet, Ruby, Sasha, and Scathack. Originally, Victor was supposed to be in the carriage with the girls, but when the group left for the capital, he quickly got bored and decided to play with Chloe. Now that I've stopped to think about it, what are these horses? Ruby forgot to ask. Oh, they are demonic horses. They live in an isolated area in the west, Eleanor said. Why is this name so scary? Well, they're much stronger and tougher than regular horses, so why not? Ruby didn't know what to say, she just thought the name a little ugly for such a beautiful creature. That's unfair, I tried to ride one of those horses, but I got kicked off. Sasha pouted. If it were so easy, my army wouldn't be special. Eleanor snorted, then she explained, riders go through a long period for the horse to get used to their presence, they have to have a brother-sister bond. But what about darling? Violet asked in an innocent voice, but Eleanor could have sworn she saw a slight smile on Violet's hateful face. She decided to be silent, she had no answer to that question. Victor was just very strange. Kaka, you'll get used to this feeling soon. Scat-Hack laughed, she was leaning against the carriage, she looked very relaxed, sigh. Eleanor just sighed. In another carriage was the group of Pepper, Sienna, Lakis, Maria, and Luna. Yum, Pepper was making strange noises, that looks fun. She looked at Victor with a sharp look, like Sasha, she also tried to ride a horse, but she was also kicked off by a horse. Just give up. You heard from Eleanor, right? These horses won't let you ride them. Lakis spoke. Never. I want to have fun. Don't be spoiled, Sienna said. But I'm not spoiled. I just want to have fun, and it's unfair that Victor is having fun alone. What about my rights? I also want to ride a horse and feel the wind in my face. Sienna rolled her eyes. Pepper looked back at Victor with a piercing look. Suddenly, a light bulb flashed on top of her head, she seemed to have an idea. Whatever you're thinking. Just don't do it. Pepper ignored Sienna's voice, as she backed onto the carriage and jumped towards Victor. Pepper. Lakis and Sienna spoke at the same time. Victor was surprised when he saw a body flying towards him, but he quickly picked up Pepper and placed her in front of him. What are you doing? He patted Pepper's head a little. Pepper's face turned a little red. I want to have fun too, and it's unfair that you're having fun alone. Maria and Luna looked at Pepper. Lady Violet is not going to like this, they said at the same time. Oh. Victor flashes a small smile as he takes Pepper's hands. Heh, he opens her hands and makes her hold the horse rope. Enjoy. Heh. Oh. Pepper looked like a child who was riding a horse with her father. He looks into Chloe's eyes, and, seeing that the horse is upset, he says, just hold on for a few minutes. He spoke in a low voice, the horse neighs nodding. This bitch. What is she doing? Violet freaked out. Pepper. Ruby sighed. Kaka, Scat-Hack just chuckled like she was enjoying herself. Unfair, I want to try too. Sasha's blue eyes sparkled, then she jumped towards Victor too. Even you, Sasha. Violet couldn't believe what she was seeing, she just thought of something, those bitches. I missed my chance. Seeing another body flying towards him, with a gesture of impressive dexterity, he rises from his horse and jumps back in a somersault, then he catches Sasha in midair and puts her behind Pepper. Soon he falls behind Sasha and grabs her waist. Sasha didn't understand what happened. Fway. I feel something soft on my back. Pepper muttered. Edited by, is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/victorweissman. More characters images in, /4fetzaf, like it? Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it. Chapter 70, King's Capital. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. They were accompanied on their way to the capital by the personal army of Countess Eleonor Adresteia. The group traveled relatively quickly. A trip that could have taken 2 days of running at a moderate pace was reduced to 1 day, and, as a consequence, they arrived just before the match between Victoria Ryder and the Horseman clan leader happened. Of course, if they were running, they would have arrived faster, but a comfortable ride is always the best option, and in a way, Victor had fun riding Chloe. The horse was very fast, and she was very obedient. Honestly, he was actually considering kidnapping Chloe, but when he thought about it, his conscience quickly hit him hard. He tried his best not to take Scat-Hack's bad habits, but after living 6 months under the same roof with a woman that has a strong personality like Scat-Hack. Like it or not, he was influenced a little. After all, they were already similar. Looking at the capital from a distance, Victor was at a loss for words for the first time. Beautiful, right? Sasha spoke with a small smile as she looked at Victor's stunned expression. Victor wakes up from his stupor and, soon, he displays a small smile as he pats Sasha's head. It's not as beautiful as you. Sasha flashed a small satisfied smile and leaned her back against Victor's chest. But, indeed, this is a beautiful city, I said as I looked out over the city again. A smile curls my lips involuntarily. Ahead of me, I saw a city that was even darker than horror movie cities, flying bats, and ancient buildings that seemed to have come from early times. Even I could feel that, despite being old, their buildings were incredibly resistant. Despite looking gloomy, the capital was reasonably illuminated by the lights of the houses. In a world where the night never ended, the city had a confused feeling of depression, joy, and especially danger. Some powerful auras made me feel excited and expectant. After training with my mother-in-law, my blood is boiling to experience a decent fight. Although it's fun to train with Scathach, I still can't compare myself to her. I know I've gotten stronger, but the question I most want to know is, how much stronger did I get compared to other vampires? How much stronger have I become? I want to know. I want to have fun. I want to find someone strong to test my limits. I don't know why I'm feeling this overwhelming desire in me, but I don't care. I want to fight. And something tells me I will find the answer in this capital. Hold. 2 guards covered in armored armor yelled. He was holding a spear somewhat resembling Eleanor's army. Identify yourself. They shouted in unison. Victor looked at the guard with curious eyes. He could also feel several eyes watching him inside the walls, and each one of these guards gave a different sense of pressure. He could instinctively tell that all these guards were strong. They are not common guards, Victor whispered with a small smile on his face. His instincts were begging him to fight. But he held back. He knew it wasn't time yet. Yes, they're not. Sasha observed the guard. They're the king's personal guard, vampires specifically trained to protect the king, and the king's family, Sasha explained. I see. Victor nodded, and then he concentrated on stroking Sasha's head, and, just like that, he could calm his instincts. Walter, please, Eleanor said. Soon one of Eleanor's armed vampire soldiers rides beside Eleanor's carriage. That soldier removes his helmet, and soon the face of an old man is shown. Your wish is my command, Countess Eleanor. He spoke respectfully, then walked towards the guard. This level of security at the entrance is not common, Ruby, who was inside the carriage, said. Oh. Victor looked at the carriage window. Usually, these guards are not at the city gate. They are royal guards, and they just protect the king and the king's family. They are mostly in the king's personal residences. Having so many guards at the entrance to the capital is not a good sign, Ruby explained. Kakaka. Don't overthink it, my daughter. The king is just being overprotective of his daughters. Scathach chuckled. They are here. Probably so. After all, that man just goes overboard with security when his daughters are around. An overprotective father. He reminds me of someone. Victor thought of his teacher. When thinking about his acquaintances, Victor suddenly felt a sense of longing for his family. Are my mom and dad okay? He hasn't talked to his family for 6 months, and he's never been away from his family for so long. When I have time, I'll call them. Pepper, I think it's time you got off that horse, right? We've already arrived in town. You too, Sasha. Violet with a gentle smile on her face. Pepper's body shivered when she heard Violet's voice, but. She didn't want to get down now. She had a lot of fun, but she still wanted to play more. Humph, Sasha turned her face and leaned into Victor even more. Veins began to pop in Violet's head when she saw Sasha's attitude. Pepper. Violet's eyes changed to blood red, and her blood pressure seemed to increase. No. I do not want to. Pepper turned away. Stop bullying my sister, don't be jealous. She's not interested in that sort of thing. You know that. Ruby spoke. Violet didn't want to give up. Ha ha ha. Don't be angry, Violet. Victor displayed a small smile. Hearing Victor's voice, Violet's eyes changed to violet, and she looked up at him with a pout on her face. But darling, Violet was going to say something, but she stopped talking when she heard Victor's voice again. How about this? I'll take you on a date later, just the two of us. Violet, Ruby, and Sasha's eyes changed to blood red. Not wanting to miss the chance, Violet said, "You promise?" "Yeah, Pinky promise." He joked, but his wives knew he was serious. "Gee good." Violet's body started to shake, and a huge smile threatened to escape her face, but she quickly turned her face away and looked out over the landscape. Seeing that Victor was silent and didn't mention the two, Ruby and Sasha looked at Victor with intense eyes. Feeling Ruby and Sasha's gaze boring into his head, he looks at them. "Don't worry. I haven't forgotten about you." He strokes Sasha's head. "I'll take Violet first, but I want to have a one-on-one date with each of you." He flashed a loving little smile. OOH. Even though they wanted a date, they didn't know how to react when he openly spoke those words. They were happy. But they were also embarrassed. Women are complicated beings. "You can come in." The gate behind the guard began to open. The Countess Eleanor's army must remain stationed outside the capital. "Walter, deploy the army in my personal mansion outside the capital, that place has enough space." "Yes, Countess Eleanor," Walter speaks, and soon he starts giving orders to the knights. "Don't make a mess in the capital, or, the royal guard would threaten the group." "Heh, or what?" Scat-Hack shows her face through the window and looks at the guard, then she opens the carriage door and gets out. Looking at the woman who got out of the carriage and seeing her striking features, he immediately recognized the woman. CCC Countess Scat-Hack Scarlet. They were getting cold under their armor now. How could they not know this woman? After all, she was the one who trained some of them in the past. "Tell me, what are you going to do if I decide to blow up the gate?" She had a slight smile on her face. She looked like she was kidding, but the guards knew not to play with this crazy woman. WL. The guard didn't know what to say. Sienna and Lakis, who were seeing this from a distance, said. "Mother seems to be a little irritated, Lakis." "Indeed, what happened to make her angry?" Sienna. "Ha ha ha, even the king's guards are afraid of you." "Just what did you do, Scat-Hack?" The guards looked at Victor in shock. He just used Scat-Hack's name so informally. Is he crazy? He will die. "I did a lot of things, I don't remember anymore." She flashed a small smile. She didn't do anything. The guards were freaking out internally. "As expected of you." He flashed a small smile. "Just who is this man?" The guards knew that in the vampire world, there was only one being who could speak to Scat-Hack like that, and that was their king. They didn't know this man. In the past, if someone disrespected Scat-Hack, that was reason enough for that vampire to die. "Well, isn't the gate open? Let's get going." Victor got off the horse along with Sasha, and he stroked Chloe's mane. The horse neighed happily and a little sadly. Eleanor looked at it with a jealous look. Chloe looked at Pepper with a hateful look. After all, this dairy cow was on top of her now. Her mood has improved. Lakis commented as she looked at her mother, who was entering the capital. "Mother." Sienna puts her hand to her face and sighs. After this minor incident happened to the guards at the entrance to the capital, the group soon entered the capital, but without Victor knowing, a rumor ended up circulating among the guards, and soon that rumor began to slowly spread through the city. The rumor was simple: someone called that red-haired demon informally and survived. That the initial content of the rumor was this. But as time went by, and the rumor circulated by word of mouth, it turned out that in the end, the rumor was totally distorted, to something like, someone managed to tame that red-haired demon. There were versions of the rumor that said something like, the red-haired devil got a new toy, and in the end. No one knew anymore which was the true version of this rumor. But one thing is certain, because of this misunderstanding that Victor unknowingly provoked, he increased his reputation a little with the King's Guards. Edited by, is unavailable. If you want to support me and read advanced chapters, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/victorweissman. More characters images in, /4 fetzaf, like it? Add to library. Don't forget to vote to support the book if you like it.